I would do is I would arrange them just red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet, and it looks cute anyway, right? So it looks like, you know what you're doing, guys. Your life may be a mess. Baka single ka pa, but at least you can get the Roy Jibib right. Okay? Alright, so let's put these on the fridge.
Someone here was hurt by that.
Oh my god. Popa.
Hi, I'm Maya from Pepper.ph, and today we're with Chino Cruz from Baker on East, and we're making
Pride Flag cookies today. Pride Flag cookies, they're just really basically a fancy butter biscuit.
Okay.
There's nothing like new or unique to them other than the fact that we're just going to be layering them.
Okay.
So it's going to be a very simple butter biscuit recipe. So we've got 150 grams or around 3/4 of a cup of butter. That's 150 grams of sugar, so that's around the same weight. And then there's this twice as much flour. So that's 300 grams, which is 2 cups, and then 1 egg. And then we're gonna be flavoring. We're gonna talk about the flavors later.
So can you tell me about Baker on East while you're doing this thing?
All right, so Baker on East is okay. So it's a lot of explaining, not really a lot of explaining, but more on that. My background is I'm a food writer, a food stylist, and I run a baking business. I did in the sugar.
Yeah.
So I created a business that was more rooted in my taste levels. That's a little more soft butch. So like mid-century references.
Yeah.
Like fun flavor combos, which we'll talk about later.
Okay.
So we've got the butter and sugar here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cream it. So creaming is the technique of where you mix the butter and sugar together and get it aerated. That's sort of it will act as our leavening agent because we won't be adding any baking powder or baking soda.
So none.
So that's gonna be lending it the texture. And then here's a tip also. They never tell you this because a lot of the bakers who like cook, all the famous bakers or the pastry chefs, whatever, are all Western. So when they tell you you should have room temperature butter, don't listen to them because the Philippines is like hotter than the fires of hell. It will get to room temperature in your mixer over time. And as you can see, you can already see on the paddle,
the texture's totally changed.
It's changed completely. So at this point, you've introduced a lot of air, and you can tell already that the butter is somewhat more elastic.
Yeah.
It's softened down quite a bit. And just give it like 30 seconds to a minute. Yeah, so what we've done is just made a simple emulsification. There we go. So I like to call this the mayonnaise stage because it's like eggs and fat. So it's practically just sweet mayonnaise at this point. It sounds disgusting, but then it's like totally okay. Okay, so at this point is when we add the flavoring.
Okay.
So we're going to flavor this, and usually with this, I would go all out, like you know with my flavor. So I tend to make stuff that's a little unusual. So I use Earl Grey. And
you have red miso in one of your cookies, right?
Yeah. Our chocolate chunk cookies have red miso in them.
Okay.
We use Earl Grey in our ganache. We use a lot of salt. But then since we're working with colors as well, I'm trying not to like muddle the colors so much. So we're using clear flavoring agents here. So that would be, for instance, you can use this one, which is clear vanilla. So this is the stuff that makes stuff taste like birthday cake. Okay. And then we have here, because I'm such a nerd, I have these from the Middle Eastern grocery. So, So this is orange blossom water and rose water.
Yes.
And I love using them in my pastries, though a lot of people find them too overpowering.
Yeah, it's very floral.
They're very floral. They tend to taste like a Lola's underpants, if you're not careful.
So we're using them today because we want this to taste just a scent of your Lola's underpants.
Just a little bit of Lola.
Yeah, just a little
bit. But today we'll be using the rose water, which is a bit more classic.
Yeah.
So this is used in Indian desserts like gulab jamun and like even in British cakes and whatever.
Yes.
I decided to use rose water in honor of my favorite drag queen, Sasha Velour.
Oh, I love Sasha Velour.
If you know who Sasha Velour is, you will know that she has the most insane wig reveal in all of Drag Race history.
Oh, when she did the wig and then all the rose petals were falling.
Like maybe you should put like a picture of her here on the left. And just to brag, this pride pin that I'm wearing is her merch. Yeah, I went to her show in
when
Manila,
she was here.
And I was like, it's $500. I don't care. I'm gonna buy a Sasha Velour
for a pin.
I even have the socks, except I'm not wearing them today. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna add the rose water. The thing with the rose water is it depends on the brand. So you have to be familiar with the brand that you're using. Some are much stronger, some are much milder. This one is right in the middle.
Okay.
And since we'll be baking it,
you want to add more?
I tend to air more.
Okay.
So I'm gonna do around a tablespoon. I use a cap to measure. All right. If we're gonna talk about pride, because we are here for pride, the history of the pride flag is very fascinating. It started in the late 60s. Yeah, late 60s. So that's when they introduced the pride flag. And it was sort of this revolutionary thing because it started at Stonewall, which is having its 50th anniversary this year. So Stonewall was an inn in New York, and I think Bushwick, but I might be wrong, so don't quote me on that, people. But then it was dangerous and difficult to be a queer person in New York at that time in the late 1960s. They had police crackdowns, and the queer community had had enough. So in the Stonewall Inn, there was fundamentally a riot. The famous thing where people argue who threw the first brick at Stonewall.
Yeah.
Arguments include like, was it trans icon Marsha P. Johnson, or was it Britney Spears? Who knows? But it's become an important part of the queer canon.
Yeah.
So that's why we have the pride flag came out after that. It was commissioned by Harvey Milk in San Francisco. So it came around that time, and it sort of started the whole revolution, the global pride revolution. Okay, so we have the rose flowers here, and then we're gonna add the flour now. Okay, it's on this side. All right, so we're gonna blend this until it's just mixed together. We can do a little pulsing. Right, we're there. And there we go. So that's what you're looking for. I mean, it has some flour, but we're gonna work with it a little bit more later anyway, so that's no issue. So just make sure that you get all the flour, you get everything. So right now we've divvied up the dough into 6 very equal parts. So that's what the whole recipe, by the way, if you're doing the weights at home. Wow, at home talaga. I feel like I'm on the Food Network. Mom, watch me.
Doing the weights at home.
All right, if you're doing the weights at home, the entire recipe is 660 grams. So each of these bowls will be 110 grams because that's 6 colors, so 6 different bowls. And we're going to be working with gel food colors. So we have the primary colors here, that's yellow, red, and blue, obviously, because you mix them together, you get the other ones. But then I have a separate one for electric green because the green that they use in the pride flag isn't a forest green. So if you mix this blue and this yellow, it tends to get deeper. So we're gonna start, the order is, if you don't know, Roy Gibil. You can like put the graphics here in front of my face. So we'll start with red, then go onwards because if you have some red food coloring on your hand, if it gets into the orange, it's not a problem. So it moves on from that. So we'll start with the red.
How much do we want of each?
It depends on the color.
Okay.
It's a small amount since this is a tiny, but you can use regular food coloring that you can get in the supermarkets.
Yes.
I mean, some supermarkets carry affordable gel food colors.
Okay.
By the way. Like if you go to the baking section and an average supermarket.
So gel is better than liquid?
Gel is more potent than liquid.
Okay.
So you only need a little dollop. The thing with liquid as well is that it will mess up the chemistry because it's a lot of liquid added to the thing. So you're adding, to get the right color, you're gonna be adding more water to it fundamentally.
Okay.
With this one, the first ingredient is actually high fructose corn syrup, so it doesn't really mess up with the chemistry of the recipe.
Okay, so let's start.
Let's start. So we're gonna add, I'm gonna do 2 of these dots of red.
And then
what I'm gonna do, I'll show you. So you're just gonna use your hand, use your dominant hand, and we're just gonna mix it. And then, this is the trick. We don't wanna activate the gluten as much as possible. So what you do is, this is a trick that they do with pie crusts, is that you flatten it as much as that, right? And then just gather it together again. Oh my God, it looks like we murdered someone, but that's fine. You can clean that up later. All right, so that's your red. So let's do orange. We're gonna be a bit more liberal with yellow. So let's mix that up. Stronger, but like talagang push it out.
Oh, okay.
So you can really spread the colors out. And since I'm trying to not agitate the gluten as much, but because we did agitate the gluten anyway, we're gonna have to let it rest at least overnight. So So what we're gonna do now is we're going to wrap them all in cling wrap and then stick them in the fridge for an hour up to overnight. Again, I suggested a while ago, I suggest you push them to overnight.
Okay.
TV magic. I've always wanted to do that, guys.
So he's going to teach us a trick that's like for anyone that doesn't know how to roll dough. So he said kids can do it, which means I can do it then.
I'm gonna grab an egg, because what we're gonna do is we're gonna roll them out. And
Okay.
after we roll out each color, we're gonna brush some egg white
Okay.
on top of it. So the egg white, which is all protein, is what's gonna bond the layers together, so it becomes one cohesive cookie.
Okay.
So we've got our egg white. So we're gonna start with the red. So this is how you can tell someone's sort of a professional, like a baker, or like,
Okay.
it's like how they
And not
sprinkle the flour on. Like you normally would think you'd sprinkle like this, right? So if you work with bread, you usually do this. So it's a bit of a movement like that. It's a little
I feel
sexy.
like this is so bad.
You just do that at the gay club and you're like,
Yeah, woo, make it rain, but flour.
So here's a trick that Maya was telling me I was gonna teach you guys about. I have these magazines here, and it's not because print is dead. We're going to use them as a reference
stands.
point. So you have to have, you can use any number of magazines as long as they're approximately 0.6 of a centimeter thick. Yes, I'm going that far. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use it as a reference guide for when you roll, so that even if you press hard, you're never gonna get past 0.6 centimeters. I'm gonna give you these for a guide.
Okay.
I'll freehand it.
Yeah, you can do it.
I
by-
can
on your
freehand it
own.
later, but then here. So I'll just
That's
show you.
so neat.
It's really neat,
It's
right? So it's
actually-
like, you're just like doing this. You're just gonna have it consistently that thickness.
Okay.
So while Maya's doing that, what I'm going to do is we're gonna move on to the orange. If you're doing it without the guides, the trick is you have to keep turning it a little bit
Every time.
every quarter. So you only push forward.
Push forward and then. Oh,
You
no,
have the
I broke
guide,
it.
so you're fine. So don't if it breaks, it's fine.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's a little bit. Don't put too much pressure on it, Nalam. Just.
You're okay.
The trick with rolling these things. I talk to my food all the time.
You're
it's
fine.
You're
No
fine.
pressure.
There's no pressure. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna brush the top of the red. So we're gonna brush a little white. The white's gonna bind the doughs together so it becomes cohesive. It's like magic almost.
I think maybe now we should talk more about Manila Pride. So, how did the movement here start, and what will people expect like on the 29th? What's gonna happen?
The thing with Metro Manila Pride is that the theme this year is sort of going back to the roots of what the Pride movement is. It's about pure liberation. So the theme this year is resist together, #resist together, guys. And it's about remembering that we are fighting the good fight together. In Metro Manila Pride, it's like this one we do the Pride March, which is a classic.
Okay.
So we march together. Some people do it in drag, which I don't know how they do it.
So hot.
It's really hot. I've seen people do it in heels. We see pro-LGBT politicians show up and then support their cause. The first Pride that I went to, by the way, fun story, was the year that I came out, which was 2 years ago. Guys, I've only been out of the closet for 2 years, believe it or not. And it's sort of that thing where you see all of the memes possible, right? Like there's a priest, not a priest, a pastor giving out free hugs for gay people and we love you. And then you also see like the Christians picketing out front, and it's really a hoot. Obviously, it's more than a big party, but usually that's what happens. There are booths, there's some merch. The proceeds of the merch goes to queer causes, queer blood organizations. So it's not like people are trying to earn explicitly from Pride. What we're gonna do is we're gonna cling wrap them, stick them back in the fridge to bond, this time for an hour. This one you can give it like an hour.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna put these in the fridge and then we'll be right back.
So we are going to do what now? Slice these?
So we're gonna slice them. So these have been sitting for an hour.
Okay.
So, and then that way, again, you're letting the gluten rest, you're letting the butter settle in a little bit more. And then if you've noticed, it's stuck together. I'm gonna take it out. It's like one thing. It's fused together. So we've got a rainbow blob. So what we're gonna do is, okay, this is where a little bit of technique comes in. You might call me crazy, but I am a food stylist, so I have a ruler. So we're going to be using a ruler to get the size right. Since we won't be using cutters, we're gonna be slicing them freehand. So we're gonna slice off the sides here.
Okay.
So that it should be around 6.5 centimeters.
Okay.
And from there, we can just slice them.
Okay.
And then it's bonded together.
Yeah.
Egg white. So you
That's
don't
the egg
see-
white that does it.
Yeah, you don't see any like differentiation between them. It just looks like, how do you do that? Do you have just like a rainbow extruder at home? No, it's egg whites, guys. And this is the reason why also you put in the fridge so that it's not too soft.
Yeah.
So there we go. Those are out. Let's put these aside.
And the layers are like super even.
Super even, right? So that's why you have the magazines on the side. So you
Yeah.
don't have to think too much.
Yeah.
There we go. So what we're gonna do is mark them. You could do it freehand as well, but then I like my stuff looking consistent.
Super.
So my thickness for these ones is around half a centimeter. So that's like 0.5. So yeah, so I've marked it.
Okay.
So those are 0.5 centimeter marks. Then I'll just use that as a reference point. Slice down nice and slow. There we go. And then we're gonna...
So this I can do.
Oh, this one...
This one was in my wheelhouse.
Can you,
Sure, I'll
can you
butter
grease
this.
the pan?
Okay.
Yeah, so you'll know how to do that. So just smudge the butter around. I think that Maya's rule of thumb is if a toddler can do it, I can do it.
Yep.
Down. And then we're just gonna keep going. So after we've cut out the cookies, so we're gonna place these in the standard 350 degree Fahrenheit, 180 degrees Celsius oven for 8 to 12 minutes. Watch it at the 8-minute mark, and then see if it's more or less set.
So what do we want to see in the? Because you don't want this golden brown, right?
Usually you go for
yeah,
golden
right?
brown. But
so
then
what's this?
What you're looking for is if it has a matte complexion to it. So it starts
Okay.
to mattify a little bit. And then you can sort of like poke it if you're willing to touch it. Like you can use an oven glove naman. So
Yeah.
you get oven mitt. And then you can poke it and see if it's... This is not one of those recipes where it's still soft in the oven.
want
So
it-
it's gonna be a little bit of set. In there.
Okay.
So like I err to under than over for this because it's the colors.
Okay.
So, I'm gonna put them in the oven. Be right back.
So the cookies just came out of the oven and they're so awesome. The colors look super cool. And thank you so much, Chino, for teaching us how to make the Pride flag cookies. So tell us where to find you and Metro Manila Pride on the internet.
So you can find me personally on Instagram and on Twitter. So my personal Twitter account is Chino Cruz without the I. And on Instagram, I'm Chino Can Cook and our baking business is at Baker on East. As for Metro Manila Pride, you can find them on Twitter and follow them at mmpride.org. And if you want to donate and volunteer, we'll have the link down below. So go check them out.
Yes, I can eat it now. Oh my god, for a picture we should have cheers like that. Or like Nyan Cat following.
Yeah, okay.